Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we're going to start a series of videos.
That's right. BGG, also known as BoardGameGeek.com, is probably the biggest compendium of board game knowledge on the web. It's been around for forever, and they've basically been documenting all these board games that are out there. And what they do is they can also rank them. So all the users can rank them. There's this huge list of all these different games, and then they're ranked 1 through a bajillion.
A bajillion.
Throughout the course of time, since I started gaming, there was games like Agricola, Puerto Rico.
Do you remember when Love Letter was in the top 10?
Love Letter was a great, what a surprise to have a micro game in the top 10. And then there was the ones we really loved, Pandemic Legacy, Season 1.
Yes.
Was one of the number ones on BGG for a while. And then Gloomhaven, this big monster, came out and it shocked the world and it became number one right away.
Basically, it's changed a lot.
So it just keeps on changing. And most recently, Board Game Geek rankings have shifted once again as Brass of Birmingham has taken the number one spot. And as a result of that, people are just talking about this list, this BGG list again. And is it viable? Is it interesting? Is it worth playing these games? Are these truly games worth having on the list?
Yeah.
So it made us have a discussion about that. We were talking about that, and let's do a little analysis. Let's talk about these top 100 games. And so we're going to go through for a while here. We're going to go basically 10 games at a time. Mm-hmm. So today we're going to talk about game number 100 through 91 on the list. Yep. Some of these games we probably even haven't played.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the ones we have played and what we think of them, whether we think they belong on the list, what they bring to the hobby, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to basically do a little miniature analysis of these top 100 games on the BGG list.
And also, this is kind of a screenshot of early March. Because the list is so fluid and changes all the time, we wouldn't be able to do this accurately, so we just wanted to take a screenshot of this list in early March, and we will make that announcement at the beginning of all of these videos so people know what we were talking about.
By the time we get to the top 10, top 10 might have changed.
Yeah, it might have changed a lot.
So we're going to go back to this moment in time when we pulled the list.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so let's get started. The number 100 game is Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, and if you haven't played it, you are missing out at one of the funnest times you will ever have playing games.
Especially if you're a Lord of the Rings fan.
Yes.
This is such a cool game. It's all app integrated. It's going to populate the board for you with all the different things you need to, all the different tiles, all the different monsters, do all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the gameplay itself, so the combat happens on the board, and you still it's very tactile because you have these miniatures, and it's got a deck building element you can do physically. So it's not like it's, some games tilt more towards app, some tilt more towards game. This did a great job of writing the line. A lot of the bookkeeping was done on the app, but physically, it was very much a board game.
Very, very much. I remember when we played this, I would think it was our second session, and we just sat down to play with my brother, and I can't remember how much time had passed. It was like 4 or 5 hours, and we didn't even realize it.
We were starting to get hungry. Like, why are we hungry? It's only been like an hour.
Yeah, and then we looked at the time, we're like,
it's dinner time, and we haven't eaten in 4 hours.
Yes, it was that fun, and it was that good. So I think this definitely deserves a spot, and I'm not biased whatsoever.
All right, so number 99, this is Dominion Intrigue. I'm going to go on a small miniature rant, and it doesn't even necessarily apply to this game, but it's going to apply to future games on this list. So Dominion Intrigue is a standalone sequel, an expansion to Dominion, which is like a classic deck building game, right? At one point, both Dominion and Dominion Intrigue were both in the top 100 at the same time, and I find that to be incredibly frustrating as a gamer. Yeah. The same game can have multiple entries in a lineup, and we're going to see it a few other times too that are still in the top 100. So Dominion has since fallen off, and it's, believe it or not, its sequel, which is just really just an expansion to Dominion, is still in the top 100 at number 99. That being said, oh my gosh, love Dominion. What a great game. Some games will take a mechanism and have it be its kind of its main focus. This is all deck building. It's pure deck building. There's nothing else going on here. It is just deck building, deck building, deck building. It does it bigger and better than anybody else. There's just so many options, and of course, when you have an expansion like this, it just gives you more options that you can choose from. So, Dominion Intrigue is, I think, better than Dominion. If you're to say those set of cards versus this set of cards, Dominion Intrigue is better.
But you can blend them.
Yes, along with all the other expansions that are not standalones. Some expansions you can, because it all has to do with these base cards. It's always a weird thing. If you're a Dominion player, you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, if you want a starting off point, Dominion itself is great. Dominion Intrigue is a little bit better, gives you more variety.
All right, number 98 on the list is Decrypto, and this is actually the number 1 party game on Board Game Geek.
Yeah, because they have a listing of like the overall ranking, but then there are also different rankings within categories. So to be the best party game ever, not too shabby.
Yeah, so I have played this game once. It was years ago. We played it at our annual like board game getaway thing, and I couldn't remember the gameplay. I had to look it up to remember how you played it, but I do remember laughing a lot in it, and I do remember having a really like good time with it. Granted, we are like really far apart from the opposing team, but essentially you have these words and these cards, and you're trying to get your team to guess them, but in a certain order. Now, the opposing team can guess the order that you're trying to get your team members to guess, and so you got to say it so they can guess, but you can't be like too obvious to where they don't know what's going on. And so it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I think there's other party games that I like more. Like, I haven't looked ahead, but I would put, like, there's other games that I would put there, and I haven't reviewed this list thoroughly, so I don't know if the game I'm thinking of is later on. It's Wavelengths, by the way. That game is amazing.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Stay tuned.
If Wavelength's not in that, it deserves to be in this spot.
Well, not according to BGG.
Yeah, but it is an excellent party game.
All right, so the next one we'll talk about, this is 97. This is the Raiders of the North Sea. Basically, those Renegade and Garphill games makes these wonderful, wonderful worker placement games. There's a bunch of them. There's 3 or 4 in the West Kingdom series. This is the one we're talking about now is Raiders of the North Sea. What this did that was so unique was you had a meeple that you started off with in your hand. And what you did is you placed it down on an open spot on the board. And you took whatever that action was. But then somewhere else on the board, you would then pick up a meeple. And then you take that action as well. So you got 2 actions every turn. Where you placed up and where you picked up. And there's limited spots on the board where they were empty, limited spots on the board that were filled. And on top of that, each one of the meeples was a different color, and they all did different things. So certain actions you could do only with certain colored meeples, or the same exact action, based off which colored meeple you used, did a different thing. So it was a complete like mind-twisty thing, like where do I want to go? And if it's blocked off, like normal worker placement games, you can't do it. But you can pick up from there. So you were never really truly blocked off. It was just what was the right timing for your actions. What a novel, unique worker placement game. Fantastic. Love this game.
Yeah,
definitely deserves a spot on this
One
list.
of the things I really like about this series of game is the iconography, because I just played this game for the first time. It was a New Year's Eve party, and I remember never having played it, and it plays very differently than any of their other games, but because of the iconography, I was able to pick it up super quick.
All right, what's next?
What is next? Okay, so number 96 is The Search for a Planet X.
So this is another game that Renegade was involved with, along with Foxtrot Games. This is a game that I have not played. Have you played this one?
I haven't.
All right, so this is the first one we have not played, and there's going to be a few of these as we go throughout these.
A lot of these.
But this particular one it sounds like it's a deduction game. It's kind of a cool sounding deduction game. You're searching for the Planet X. It reminds me of those deduction games where you're searching for Mr. X. So I don't know if that's like a nice little nod to that or what's going on. But basically, it's a deduction game where it uses an app where you're scanning the board, scanning cards, things like that, trying to figure out and deduce where this missing planet is. So it sounds really, really cool. Again, it rides that line of, is it a board game or is it a video game or is it an app or whatever. I like that it's a combination, but I haven't played it, so I can't tell you the experience. If you've played it, let us know in the comments below. Tell us what you think so we can decide whether we want to play it in the future.
Also, tell us if you think it deserves to be in the top 100.
Yeah, that's the real question, right?
Because maybe you could have played it and you're like, yeah, it's great, but it's not that great. So
Right.
Let us know. Okay, number 95 is Mombasa, and I have not played this, but I think you have.
Yes, this is an Alexander Pfister title, and it's a heavy one. It's got 3.9 weight. Another thing, if you're unaware, BGG does this thing called weight of a game. And it's not talking about physically how heavy the game is, but it's about how complex the game is, how heavy it is in the sense of brain power, right? How many options you have on your turn, how long is the gameplay, things like that. It's kind of all wrapped up in this one metric of weight, and different people define it different ways, which is why this score is kind of nebulous. But in general, the higher the weight is, the more complex it is to play, the heavier it is, people talk about. And this one is a heavy one. This one is a thinker. It's a little bit longer, and Alexander Pfister is known for those kind of longer, heavier games. I played it and I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. But that being said, it was a while ago and we don't own it. So this is the kind of game that if you don't play it on a regular basis, the rules are going to get kind of like knocked out of your head a little bit. So I don't remember a lot of the nuances to this game because it's been so long and I haven't played it on a regular basis. So I would say for that reason it was a little bit forgettable. Doesn't mean it was bad. The memories I have are of it being a great game. I just don't remember enough of it to be able to, like, if I were to sit down and someone set it up, I'd be like, teach me again, man. Yep. I don't know. So love those heavier games, but because of that nature, it's is it the best? Is it one of the best heavy games? Probably not, but it is great. It was a really super great game. I just like to get more exposure to it.
All right, so number 94 is Kalis. So I haven't played this one, but have you played this one?
I have indeed. This game is known for two things. The first one being basically the great granddaddy of worker placement games. The idea we talked about a little bit with Raiders of the North Sea, but when you place a meeple or a pawn of some kind onto a board and you take whatever that action is, but no one else can really take it because you're blocking that spot.
Yeah.
And then later on, there's some around cleanup where you clean everything else up and then you start over again. Right? You place something on the board, you take that action. So this is like kind of one of the first things to make that style of game happen. Now we talked about Dominion earlier, and Dominion is a case where. Well, okay, so just because something does something first does not necessarily mean that they did it best. In Dominion's case, I think that there's not a lot of better deck builders out there. Other games use deck building as part of a bigger system, and I love it when games do that. Like, let's talk about Clank or something, you know?
Oh, yeah, so much fun.
But as far as a pure deck building game, no one's done it better, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
I don't know, there's that one that I really like.
Which one?
I play on my phone all the time.
Oh, yeah, Mystic Vale.
Yes.
Well, that's more card crafting than deck building. But anyways, whatever the case is, I think that Kalis is an example of just because you did it first, you definitely didn't do it best. That is definitely a system that has been built upon. Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like Kalis is not deserve a spot on this list.
What's the second thing it's known for?
The original box art was a super grumpy looking king guy, and just this surly looking
Isn't he,
king.
like, holding something?
Yeah. It is super grumpy guy, and so that's what this game's about. Grumpy guys placing stuff on boards and taking the actions and the resources.
Yeah, no wonder why they're grumpy, because they can't play in other people's places. They're just frustrated all the time.
They're grumpy because people have done it better since then. And so this game, kicking off the top 100, please don't have to talk about it anymore. And replace it with the Raiders of the North Sea. Switch those two places.
Yeah, sure. I like that. Okay, so number 93 is Battlestar Galactica, the board game. So I have not played this game, and this is also one of the games that I have no desire to play for two reasons. One, I don't know anything about Battlestar Galactica, and I know that good games, you don't have to know the universe about it for you to be able to enjoy it. However, I have played The Thing Infection at Outpost 31, and I really like that game. So and I've heard that they play very similarly, so I don't, like, if I
More
don't know the theme, if I don't know the theme, and I like this, and it takes half the time, like, why would I do this game where I don't know the world, and it takes twice as long? So this is 93, and I will never play it.
I've got some experience with this one, and it's a cool social deduction experiment, where you have you're playing this game and it's more or less cooperative, and you're trying to figure all this stuff out. It's trying to puzzle this all out. But there's one or more players that's actually posing to be a human. They're actually a Cylon. So you don't know who's who. And so you have this game where for 2 or more hours, usually longer, usually 3 hours or so, you are just as a normal human player, you're just like, who the heck is the bad guy? I just cannot figure it out. I don't know. Everyone's acting like they're good, but I know someone's bad, and then we're going to lose because at the very end they're going to turn on us or whatever. And as the Cylon, you have 2 hours of just stress where you're just like, are they going to catch me out? Are they going to figure out who I am? What are they going to do? Do I kind of reveal myself too early and screw the whole thing up? But I got to start making some negative things happen, or else they're going to win. But I don't want to reveal myself too early, because if I do that, then they've got 2 more hours of this game where they know who I am, and it's just no one cooperates. So I love social deduction games that use hidden roles and stuff like that when they're 20 minutes, when they're half an hour, when they top out at maybe an hour, like you mentioned that was 31. 2-3 hours of plus of lying. It's rough. It's a rough one.
It wears on you emotionally.
So yeah, I think this is another case of it's been done better since then.
Yeah. They should replace this with the thing infection at Outpost 31.
Get it on out of here.
Switch them. And I do want to say I've never seen the movie. So the thing. So
Yeah.
it's not even like I'm so drawn to that. I'm not familiar with either of these. I just think that's really good. All right, so number 92 is Keyflower, and
This is basically a tiling game.
Oh, I haven't played it, but you say that, and now I want to play it.
It's a tiling game, but you're kind of building your own tableau of tiles, and each one of them has special actions, and you are trying to kind of build your engine based off of this series of tiles that you're adding onto. They all score differently. They all give you different actions. There's a whole big giant bag of meeples. You're drawing these meeples out of these bags, trying to get the right ones because they all do different actions. These green ones act as kind of essentially these stronger wilds. It's just a blast. It's spawned this whole series of Key games. There's a bunch of other games in this Key series. This one, I believe, was the first one. Definitely the highest, the most notoriety, the one that gets talked about the most. So, Keyflower, it's an older one, but it holds up. It's a good time.
Do you think it deserves to be on the list? I was like, why'd you put me on the spot? Like, this is what we're doing.
If we're talking top 100 of all time, is it one of the most well-designed games of all time? Is it the most fun games of all time? I'd say no. Is it a good game that I think people should check out when they get a chance? Absolutely. But I wouldn't put it in top 100. That's elite. Elite. I think this is kind of a carryover for when Board Game Geek first came out. This was running the show. This is just a fantastic game, super novel, and I think just a lot of those high rankings from back then have just stuck around. And I don't see this I don't see this getting played at our local store. I don't see this getting played at conventions often. I do see, I played on BGA every once in a while. Board Game Arena is a website where you can play games live on the internet. But I don't know, it's just a game where I don't know, not top 100 caliber in my opinion. At least not anymore.
All right, we are at the last one
for today.
This list. And it's 91, and it is El Grande.
Yeah, so El Grande, this is, again, it's all about area control. Now, area control is not my favorite genre, I guess. I don't really like a lot of heavy conflict.
Yeah.
So for that reason, this is not a game that I've not played. But from what I understand, this was a Spiel des Jahres winner in 1996. So this is an oldie but a goodie, apparently.
I was but a wee child in 96.
This is already winning awards. Just a wee lass.
Wee lass.
Yeah, so, it apparently has some interesting area control mechanisms for what I understand. There's 9 rounds. You have these 13 power cards, kind of determine your turn order, as well as the number of things you're able to drop on your areas. There's this king pawn that kind of roams around the board, and wherever the king is, you can't go in or out of. It's kind of like, it's like on lockdown. So that's kind of an interesting little twist to the game. Let us know your thoughts on this one as well.
All right. That is the first 10 or the last 10 of the top 100 on Board Game Geek. And we want to know your comments. Have you played any of these games? Are there any games on this list that you played and you hated? Any games that you played and you're like, or you're like, yeah, that deserves to be there. That doesn't deserve to be there. Is there any game you're like, I'm never going to play this and I never want to play this? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed what you watched, consider giving us a tip over on Ko-Fi. There's a link down below.
Yeah, for me, this top 10, or this particular list of the top 100, was all about games that were on the older side, right? That hold up really well, that are good games. But I feel like there's been changes to the hobby since this particular group of 10 came out, other than Lord of the Rings. Keep that one up there, top notch. And Decrypto, we mentioned, was a great party game too. But yeah, there's a lot of these games on this part of the top 10, from an analysis standpoint, I see not being sticking around there in the long term, which is why they're in the bottom of the top 100.
Yeah, they've been up there and they're cycling their way out.
And I have a feeling that other games are going to keep their way up into the top 100, booting these ones out over the next year or so.
Well, everybody, don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Bye.